Hi everybody. Okay. So today's soap's pretty good. Um, Yesterday was a little bit of I don't know one note, so that's why I didn't do videos yesterday. And also the day just got away from me. Okay. So today was are. We get to see that the past is going to catch up with Adam and Chelsea at some point. Now we don't know when, but I would say sooner rather than later. I'd say within the month, if not early August, because Adam and it kind of brings to light how men and women deal with infidelity, um, like when they're having an affair versus after they have the affair, right? Okay, so women um, kind of shut down and don't really talk about it, and they feel guilty but they don't verbalize it, whereas a man gets very aggressive. And if like okay, because today's scenario is Adam is gonna work for Victor, kind of, because he's gonna head up Newman Media again. Now, okay, so I feel like I should give a little backstory here, a little bit. All right. Two things you need to know. Adam used to be the head of Newman Media way back in the day. Okay. Like when Adam first started, he was the head of Newman Media. Then all this stuff happened, and now he's been demoted and everything else, and had to get back in his family's good graces. All the things, right? Okay. Coupled with that, Victor has never really been a fan of Sally's. Has always been either slightly to moderately suspicious of her, because I think that he thinks that she took advantage of one of her sons to use against the other son, talking about Nick and Adam. Now, in my mind, and I was always Camp Adam and Sally, because I told you guys that you could feel the chemistry coming off the screen. Okay? And the fact that the writers wrote it so that she was with Nick first was not really her fault. Okay? Um, you know, I would have said to stop that relationship kind of before it started, or in the very early times when you're in the relationship but you see it's not working out. You should pull the cord then. But they didn't do that. So okay, so now that you have that little bit of backstory, Adam tells Sally what he's planning on doing. She's trying to be supportive girlfriend and say, I'm not really sure you should do that, because I understand you want to get in, like, you want to have a good relationship with your father, but I don't think this is the way to do it. Okay? And he says, well, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to be there to protect Jack from Victor. And she says, okay, but at what cost? And are you really going to do that? Because Victor can say a lot of things, but it will, when it gets down to it, what's really going to happen, no one knows. So she's trying to do that. And he says, well, no, I know what I'm doing, and like, you don't know, and why can't you just support me on this? And then they have the argument. At the end of the argument, he storms out, and she's left there bewildered. And so then, which is kind of, this moment after this is kind of odd, because okay, Sally and Audra happen to be good friends. I wouldn't say best friends, but good friends. Okay? That just so happens, right? So Audra is working for Victor with Kyle on Uncle Side. So by way of telling her how Adam is doing and everything. She's giving she's giving information to the opponent. However, she doesn't know she's doing that. And I hope that Sally's words don't come back to bite her in the form of Audra using everything she just said to her advantage, and like she might be the type that says, okay, I'm going to use whatever I have at my disposal and forget everyone else. I'm going to do what I want so that she can be on top. But is she willing to sacrifice a friendship to be on top? That's the question. And my initial reaction response would be yes, because look at what she did with men. She did it with Kyle, then she did it with Tucker. Whenever she would get information, she'd get him in bed, get him to like her and have a relationship with her, use them to her advantage, and throw them away. Okay. On the other side, because like I said, there's always 3 or 4 stories going at the same time. Because also we have an hour to fill here, okay? So on the other side, we have Faith. And Faith and Moses just broke up. Now I discussed it, so I'm not going to discuss it again. The interesting part on this one is Faith is Nick and Sharon's daughter, right? So apparently, which this never happens in my life, but apparently when you're 18, 19, and your boyfriend and you broke up, your family regales you with stories of their relationships past and how everything came to be how it is. So of course you know how Sharon and Nick got back together after the Phyllis and Nick affair. Now, I was kind of perplexed by this moment that, first of all, why are Faith and Phyllis in a park and Sharon is nowhere to be found? Number one. And number two, why, as an adult, Phyllis, do you care what Faith, a teenager, thinks about you? She's not your daughter. You're not really related to her. You were involved with her father, but that's as far as it goes. So what do you care? So that whole, well, hey, Faith, it's good to see you. Okay. Well, hold on a minute, Faith. I just want to ask you something. I want to make sure you don't hate me. She's 18, 19 years old. You're like what, 40 something? Who cares? Who cares if a 19-year-old doesn't like you? That whole thing was just, what? Why are they even having this dialogue? Okay. So then she does say something a little nice about, I'm sorry that you and Moses broke up, but he wasn't the one for you, and that when you find the one, you'll know and he'll be the lucky one. That was fine. That was a good moment. But really? Okay, so then cut to Phyllis leaves the park, apparently, and just happens to go to wherever Society or wherever Kyle and Summer are. The reason I don't know all these places is because I know Crimson Light, okay? But then they came out with Society, and then they came out with somebody else, then they came out with I forgot all these places now, okay? So anyway, Summer and Kyle are at somewhere, and Kyle is telling Summer or booking plans to go to Paris, a trip for 2 for him and Audra, okay? Now, it's a business negotiation. We all know it's business because before they had the affair, whatever, the fling. It wasn't an affair, it was a fling. Okay? That was before. Now it's all above board business. Why is Summer acting like, oh, why are you and Audra going to Paris? For business, Summer, for business. And besides, you don't have a say in what your ex-husband does anymore. There's one operative word here, ex-husband. Maybe you have some say in what he does with the child because you raised them like your own. But as far as what he does, you don't have any say in it. Really? You really think you have a say in what he does anymore? Okay. So then, which this is the part I don't like that Kyle does. Kyle says, well, you know, you're not Harrison's mother, and yada 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 yada. I didn't think he had to add that. However, I do think the writers were in my brain because just as I was thinking about, you don't have a right to say anything. He's your ex-husband. He said literally, like, you don't have a right to say we're not married anymore. Exactly what I was thinking. So I'm like, all right, okay. So and then it just got worse because he says, so she says to him, what are you gonna do? Take him away from me? Take him to Paris? He says, well, wasn't thinking about it, but now that you mention it. So now on top of the scenario that Summer already had in her head, now she has the whole family dynamic thing in her head and the possible romantic thing, because if Harrison goes to Paris, then he's going to need a nanny. So then that invites Claire because Claire's his nanny now. And also, just as a little side note, I just thought about this now. If they do go to Paris, Paris is known as the City of Lights. Paris is also known as the city for romance sometimes. So it would be a perfect breeding ground, if you will, for a romantic encounter or romantic start for the Kyle and Claire romance. Just a thought. That would be actually nice to see. Okay. So then Phyllis does the appropriate mom thing and tells Summer that if you're going to involve the court, you can't act like you're acting. You have to be above the fray, which I agree with too. So Phyllis was used all over the canvas today, but Phyllis had the appropriate mom reaction one time. So that was good to see. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I want to say about the Adam thing for a second is if Adam doesn't start acting right and saying the right stuff, then Sally is going to get suspicious and the whole affair with Chelsea is going to come out. I mean, because I'm a woman, so I know how women think, okay? And I would have been asking him questions when he started acting funny from day one after the thing, after the affair. I would have said, why are you acting funny? Like, you're not acting like yourself. And I wouldn't have been okay with, well, it's just no big deal. No, I would not have been okay with that. I would have asked more questions. Not hammer him, but ask him more questions. So what I'm saying, even if she does a slow approach, the more he's off, the more I hope she starts connecting the dots and starts saying, what's up with this? Why is he acting weird or odd I hope. Can Sally get on the boat, please? All right, because, you know, I'm not for dumb characters here. Um, just saying. So I don't know, but my overarching theme for all of it is wait for the implosion because it will happen. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it will happen. So be prepared, everyone. All right.